Hey everyone, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going deep on something I think we've all struggled with.
Yeah,
How do companies choose the right training programs
right.
to actually make their teams better?
Yeah, it can feel like a swamp out there sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You're just
Well,
trying to figure out like what's real and what's just checking a box.
totally. And that's why we're diving into David Vance's The Business of Learning today,
Oh, good book.
specifically chapter 10.
Yeah.
And, whether you're leading a team or you just want to level up your own skills, I think you'll find some really interesting stuff here.
Absolutely valuable insights for sure.
So Vance comes out strong saying training needs to be tied to a company's goals.
Yeah,
Like not just in some kind of vague, oh yeah, this seems kind of related way,
right.
but really strategically.
Yeah, it's got to be like an investment.
Exactly.
Before you even think about signing anyone up, you got to ask, will this help us achieve a specific business objective?
Yeah.
Which sounds really simple, but you'd be surprised how many companies kind of miss the mark on that one.
Like, why are we doing this?
Right.
What problem are we trying to solve?
Yeah.
If you can't answer that clearly, maybe you don't need the training.
Exactly. Or maybe that budget could be better used elsewhere.
Totally.
And it's not just about the company's goals either.
Okay.
Vance talks a lot about aligning with individual team and employee goals as well.
So like understanding where everyone is and where they want to go and then finding the training that kind of bridges that gap.
Exactly. He calls it strategic alignment.
Okay.
And it takes it a step further, you know.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, your company is laser focused on improving customer satisfaction.
Makes sense. That's a pretty common one.
Yeah, so a strategically aligned training program wouldn't just be a generic customer service 101, you know.
Yeah, right.
It would focus on developing very specific skills that are tied to that goal.
Like what?
Like maybe de-escalating tricky customer interactions or
Oh.
having really deep product knowledge so you can give good recommendations.
Right, so it's actually solving the problem.
Exactly.
Not just throwing something random at it.
Exactly. And before you even get to course content, he says, take stock of what your team already knows.
Yeah.
Don't waste time on stuff they've already mastered.
Right, it's about finding those gaps
Yeah,
and then targeting the training to fill them in.
precisely.
So efficient.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Saves time, saves money, and let's be honest, keeps people from getting bored.
Yeah, the worst.
Right. And Vance, he gets real specific. He lays out 4 core criteria for evaluating potential training programs.
Oh, okay, so it's like a checklist.
Yeah,
I like it.
to make sure you're making good choices.
Right, I'm intrigued. What are they?
Well, first up is relevance, which we've kind of touched on already.
Right.
Does the program actually teach what your team needs to succeed?
It's like online shopping.
Exactly.
Don't buy something you're never going to wear.
Right. You got to make sure it fits your team's needs.
Yep.
And helps them reach their goals.
Okay, what's next?
Then there's impact.
Yeah.
Will this training actually move the needle?
I like that.
Will it improve performance, lead to more efficient processes, boost that customer satisfaction?
And I imagine this ties back to the business goals.
It all connects.
Yeah, you should be able to draw a line from the training to the impact on the company.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about cost effectiveness.
Right.
Time is money, after all.
Yeah, and training takes time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Both in hours spent learning and potentially lost productivity while people are, out of their regular workflow.
So you're weighing the investment against the potential return.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a chipper program is actually better if it's really focused and doesn't take people away for too long.
Exactly. And then finally, he talks about resources.
Okay.
The best program in the world is useless if you don't have the right people to deliver it.
Or the technology to support it.
Exactly.
It's like having a shiny new sports car, but nobody knows how to drive stick.
Perfect analogy.
You need the infrastructure to make it work.
You do?
Now I'm curious, how do you even compare all these different programs using these criteria?
That's where Vance gets into program size and duration.
Okay.
And he uses this really fun analogy.
Oh, I love a good analogy.
It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Okay, what? How does Goldilocks relate to picking a training program?
Well, think about it like this. When it comes to program size and duration, it's got to be just right,
Okay.
for your team and their learning styles.
Okay.
So if a program's too big,
Yeah.
people can get lost in the crowd.
Yeah, like you're in a giant lecture hall, you can't even ask a question.
Exactly.
Not the best way to learn.
No, but if it's too small, you might miss out on the diverse perspectives you get from a larger group.
Right, so it's a balancing act.
It is.
What about the duration, though?
Oh, yeah, that's key, too.
Seems like that could really make or break a program.
Absolutely. Too long, and you risk people tuning out,
Death by PowerPoint.
Exactly. But too short, and they barely scratch the surface.
Right. I've been in those. We crammed a whole semester into 3 hours of workshops.
Yeah.
Not very effective.
Nope, not at all. And this is where understanding your team's learning styles comes in.
Oh, interesting.
Some people thrive in those intense short burst environments.
Yeah.
Others need more time to process and reflect.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that before.
It's not just about the content. It's how it's delivered and how long people have to really absorb it.
Makes sense. And then Vance goes on to talk about evaluation, which I feel like a lot of companies skip.
They do?
But isn't that just like filling out a survey at the end?
It's so much more than that.
Real?
Evaluation is about understanding what worked, what didn't,
Okay.
how you can improve future training, and it's about proving the value of learning and development to the company.
So it's not just a feel-good exercise.
No.
It's about data.
Yeah.
Showing that ROI for the training budget.
Exactly. And Vance even mentioned some different models for evaluating training,
Okay.
like the Kirkpatrick model,
I've heard of that one.
which measures reaction learning, behavior change, and ultimately the impact on the business.
So you're looking at it from all these different angles,
You got it.
getting the full picture.
And remember, your feedback matters.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's through a survey, a discussion with your manager, even just chatting with your colleagues,
Okay.
your input can help shape future training programs.
So we all have a role to play in making training better.
Absolutely.
But Vance takes it even further, right?
He does.
He talks about building a whole learning culture,
Yes.
not just individual programs.
It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Right.
It should be part of the company's DNA.
Okay, but how do you actually do that?
Well, he says make learning part of everyday work,
Okay.
like mentoring programs,
Yeah.
where more experienced employees can share their knowledge.
So it's like teaching someone to fish instead of giving them a fish.
Exactly. Or what about encouraging employees to go to industry conferences and workshops?
Right. Show them that the company values their development.
Yes. It's an investment.
And it benefits the company, too.
Exactly. And he talks about facilitating knowledge sharing amongst employees.
Okay.
It's not just top-down learning. It's peer-to-peer as well.
So powerful when you think about it.
It is.
Like, imagine having a platform where people can easily share articles and resources.
He suggests exactly that.
Yeah.
Create those spaces for informal learning and collaboration.
I love that breaks down silos.
It does.
People can learn from each other.
Right.
But how do you prevent learning fatigue?
That's the question, isn't it?
Everyone's so busy.
Yeah. How do you make sure learning stays engaging and relevant?
And not just another thing to check off the to-do list.
Well, that's a great question. And it leads to one of the most important points Vance makes about creating a learning culture. Well, he says it all comes down to fostering a genuine love of learning.
Okay.
It's not about forcing people into programs.
Yeah.
It's about creating an environment where they're intrinsically motivated to grow.
That sounds amazing, but how do you actually make that happen?
Right.
Like in a busy corporate setting.
It's definitely not easy,
Yeah.
but it is possible. Think about offering a variety of learning options.
Okay.
Not just formal training,
Right.
book clubs, guest speakers,
Yeah.
lunch and learns.
I like it.
Even just encouraging people to share interesting articles they've read.
Right. It's like
Yeah.
you're creating a culture of curiosity, exacuous improvement.
It all adds up.
People aren't just learning for their jobs, they're learning for themselves.
Right. And that ultimately benefits the company too.
Exactly. One thing that really stood out to me in this chapter
Yeah.
was Vance's emphasis on the long-term impact of this kind of learning culture.
Yeah. It's not just a short-term boost in productivity.
Right.
It creates a ripple effect.
How so?
Well, he talks about how effective training and development leads to increased employee engagement,
Okay.
better performance,
Makes sense.
and even higher retention rates.
So it's not just about the bottom line.
No.
It's about creating a more fulfilling work environment.
For everyone,
Yeah.
which is why it's so important to think strategically about learning and development,
Right.
to invest in programs and initiatives that will have a lasting impact.
Moving beyond just checking boxes.
Exactly.
Really embracing the power of learning.
The transformative power of learning.
Yeah.
And Vance reminds us that learning is a journey,
Right.
not a destination.
That's something you just finished.
No, you keep going.
It's continuous.
It's about being curious,
Yeah.
staying up to date, seeking out new knowledge and experiences.
And that's something we can all do,
Absolutely.
no matter what our role is.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's go back to that question we asked earlier.
Okay.
If you were in charge of designing a training program for your team, what would be your top priority?
That's a good one.
What would you want people to walk away with?
I would want them to walk away feeling empowered and inspired, to have
Well,
those concrete skills and knowledge.
that they can apply to their work immediately.
But also that excitement to keep learning.
Yes. To see development as an opportunity, not a burden.
I love that. So Vance has given us a lot to think about today,
He has.
from strategic alignment to evaluation models to creating a culture of learning.
That's a lot.
It's clear that there's so much more to training and development than just picking a program and hoping for the best
Oh, yeah. It's an investment worth making.
for both individuals and organizations.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking to level up your own learning and development strategy, I highly recommend checking out David Vance's The Business of Learning.
Great book.
It's full of practical advice and insights that can help you make a real difference.
It really is. It's been a pleasure diving deep with you today.
Likewise. And to all our listeners out there, keep those brains buzzing.
Yes.
Learning is a lifelong adventure, and we're all in it together.